Hello and welcome. This is Melskinner, and I'm going to be taking a look at a brand new game, Battle Brothers. This is a game I've been keeping my eye on for some time, and I've been waiting for it to come out of early access, as it has been in early access, and it just recently fully launched, so I thought I'd take a look at it. Now, I have played for a few hours going through the scenarios to familiarize myself with the combat system, and now I am going to go into the campaign, but I have not done the campaign at all, so I am going to have some learning to do as far as the campaign goes, although I feel like I have the battle system down somewhat. I will admit this is a rather difficult game. It is a turn-based strategy game, and it has some elements that remind me of Mount & Blade Warband a little bit as well, but we'll see exactly how these mechanics work as we jump into the game. So I'm going to start a new campaign. And it looks like we can do a new company. Well, first let's pick a banner. I don't think they're going to have any mice in here, but we'll see what we've got. Quite a few choices, it looks like. And again, this kind of reminds me a little bit of Mount & Blade Warband, because this is something that you could do there as well. Pick yourself a banner. Wow, I'm amazed. Okay, I think that was all of them. Out of the bunch, I'll do this little sun, and we'll... Well, what would go with a mouse, actually? Trying to think, I don't think any of these really screamed mouse to me. I mean, that might be a mouse's paw, maybe? I don't know. Kind of hard to make out. I would say probably more a rabbit or something like that. Yeah, I'll do the sun. I like white and yellow. I like those colors anyway. So, mouse is cadet. Or we could call them the Mouseketeers, but that's a little bit... you know, too Disney. All right, so we've got difficulty level. All right, let's see what it has to say. Recommended for players new to the game. More starting funds, lower prices, less challenging contracts and opponents, able to carry more resources at once. Then we have veteran, provides for balanced playing experience. Okay, that's probably what we're going to go with. I will point out this game is rather difficult, so going with anything other than beginner could end in failure on my first playthrough. And then expert difficulty, less starting. So it's kind of the opposite of beginner. So you have less starting funds and things are more challenging. Oh, deserters will take equipment with them. That's interesting, but we're not going to play around with that just yet. We're going to go with veteran. I'm not going to do Iron Man mode because the way recording things work, sometimes you lose play sessions. So I don't want to chance that. Late game crises. Okay, what do we got going on here? So we can turn off the crises. There will be no late game crises. We can do random. All crises will be randomly chosen between the options below. Oh, and then we have 3 options. So we can force a particular option. So war. The first late game crisis will be a ruthless war for power between noble houses. If you survive, blah, blah, blah. We've got an invasion of greenskins, and then we have undead scourge. Well, you know what? I like the random idea. You don't know what you're going to get, right? I'm still not sure if the banner, how appropriate this is, but, well, let's go for it. Alright, so as we load in here, there's going to be a lot of reading involved with this game, at least from what I've seen of the early stages. So I'm going to read through this. It all went wrong. 2 days ago, the company was hired to track down Hoggart the Weasel and his band of raiders, but it was them who found you first. An ambush, some joke about horses, cut short by an arrow to the throat. Arrows shooting in from everywhere and nowhere. Men holler and scream at great volume before death. As the hail subsides, you draw your weapon with the rest of the men, only to collapse to your knees. An arrow has punctured your side, you shout in pain. A harried glance sees the men charged without you to make a valiant last stand. Met in force as steel clashes with steel. You meet eyes with the captain, a last nod before his throat is cut. You're left in command now of what few men remain. Trembling in pain, you lean on your sword with all the way you can muster, slowly rise again. All right. Well, that guy's dead already. We have a lot of dead bodies. Alright, it looks like we're being put in command of these few guys here. So let's go over what this game is all about. More or less everything works on a hex grid, even though you don't see the grid. You can kind of see when I hover my mouse over the area, you can see the hexes drawn out. Going over the character's stats. Everybody has action points. From what I've seen in the game, everybody should have 9, although maybe as you level up, you'll get more. And different actions you do will cost different action points. We can kind of go over those in a bit. You have fatigue. Now, this is one element that I think takes quite a lot of getting used to. So just to summarize really quickly what this is saying is everything that you do costs you fatigue, and you will get back 15 fatigue every turn. So let's say I shot my crossbow bolt here. So if we look there, that builds up 5 fatigue. If I move around, that's also going to build fatigue. So if I move 1 space, that's going to build up 4 fatigue. So as long as I do a combination of actions that is lower than 15, I will be reset to 0. But if I do actions that are more than 15, the next turn it will build up, and then it will build up, and then it will build up, and so on until you get to your cap, which for this character is 90. Once you get to that cap, you really can't exceed how much fatigue you have. So it's always going to reduce you enough so that you have 15 fatigue to work with. That's what that's saying there anyway. But at that point, there's only so many actions you can do, so it becomes really challenging once you get fatigued enough. You have morale. This is pretty self-explanatory. But as the battle goes on, there will be checks to see if your morale is going to be lowered, and you can see morale checks trigger on. And then you see all of these listed things. Now, there's positive morale checks as well. So killing an enemy can give you positive morale. But there's also bad things like being hit by so much damage, being engaged by more than one opponent, and so on. Now, it's not guaranteed that these things will affect your morale, but there's always a chance that it will happen. Okay, moving from there, we have head armor, body armor, and then overall hit points. And these are somewhat self-explanatory. If you get hit in the head, which is less likely, the head's a harder target to hit. But if you get hit in the head, then your head armor plays a part. This character has no head armor, so it would just go straight into the hit points. If you get hit in the body, then the body armor takes precedence, and then it goes into your body. From there, damage can be pretty brutal. There can be consequences for the damage, and obviously death ensues. And for characters, it is permadeath as far as I understand in this game. Again, I have not played the campaign at all, but there are some assumptions I can make. So we can see the actions we can take here. This all we have right now is shoot bolt because we have a crossbow. That's the only actions we have available to us. We have the turn order, so we can see who's going to go next. So if I hover over here, we can see this character right there, the one with the yellow arrow over his head, is going to be the one that goes after the character I've currently that's currently going, and then it goes from there. So it's just a turn order here. If I click on this or hit the space bar, I can wait to the end of this round. So you can delay your turn if you want to, and then if you hit this or you hit the F key or the enter key, you can end your turn as you wish. It also, I think, have it set up to auto end turn. And then we have my inventory here. I can open that, and if I look in my inventory, we can see that I have a knife in my inventory that I could switch to if I ran out of crossbow bolts, which I can see I have 10 of, and a quiver. So if I were to run out of crossbow bolts or be engaged in close combat, I would want to draw my knife, and that would give me an option to attack in close combat. So those are some things you can do in inventory. All right, let's go ahead and shoot here. So if I click on the attack, I can see my range. So this is going to be highlighted. It might be a little bit hard for you guys to make out, but it is this little gray hexes here indicate the range, and then the red is who I can attack. So if I hover over, you can see some things about the target. So Brigand Thug, and then Hoggart the Weasel. So that's our objective, is to kill him. And then we can see right below their name, 61% chance to hit, 55% chance to hit. And we can see some modifiers why that is the case. Well, distance is 3, distance is 5. So obviously being further away makes it harder for you to hit someone. There is other items here that are going to give me just ideas of their stats. So he doesn't have any head armor, but he does have body armor, and so on and so forth. His morale, and how fatigued he is and what have you. Also, we can see that his turn is done, so he has taken his turn. So has this character. Hoggart the Weasel acts in 1 turn, so we know that he's going to be going here, so he has not moved yet. All right, with all that being said, let's go ahead and attack here. So we have a 61% chance to hit. This would cost me 2 AP. That's 2 action points to do. We can see that already indicated here, and it will also induce 5 fatigue we discussed earlier, and we can also see that has been indicated as well. If I were to right-click, it cancels the action, and we can see both of those things go away. So I have my full action points and no fatigue built up. So it does kind of give you a good indicator of what's going on. I'll show you movement around here in a second, but there's no real reason, I think, in my opinion, to move this character. So I'm going to go ahead and attack. I managed to hit, and we can see some damage effects there. And we also see, because he took enough damage, his morale took a hit, so he is wavering, and he also took some damage there. He has pierced leg muscles, which is going to give him some kind of status effect. Now we can see I have another action here, which is reload. You have to reload crossbow bolts, or crossbows. You don't have to reload bows. If I had just a bow and arrow, I wouldn't have to reload. I could just shoot it, and this cost me 7 action points to reload, so I have 9 total, so shooting and reloading is a full turn. It also cost me 20 fatigue. So as we discussed, I'll get 15 fatigue back, so in the grand scheme of things for next turn, I have 10 built up fatigue. Let's go ahead and reload. Okay, Hoggart the Weasel looks like he is running away. All right, now we have Gunther here who's going to be going. Now Gunther has a close combat weapon, and he is a little bit more well-armored, at least he has something on his head. He has, well, a bandana, so it's not a lot of armor, and body armor I don't think is much different. But one big thing here is we're going to have to get in close combat. And we have 3 new actions now. So these are going to do various things. We've got, and I'm not that familiar with a 2-handed axe, so I'm going to actually have to read over these. So this cost me 6 AP to use, so I'm going to have to keep that in mind if I want to attack this turn. And Split Man, a slow overhead attack performed with full force to split a target in 2 from top to bottom. Has enough force that it will always hit. It always hits both head and body for additional damage. So that's pretty good and nice to know. And because I know this guy does not have head armor, I know I would probably do pretty heavy damage. We can see how much damage it would do, how much fatigue it's going to do to me, and so on. Okay, then we have round swing. Mow down all the targets around you. So this is an area attack, it looks like. Foe and friend alike with a reckless round swing. Not hard to evade because it is not aimed at anything, but can be devastating if it connects. Be careful around your own men unless you want to relieve. Yeah, so don't kill your own guys. And then we have split shield, so this is good against guys that have shields. We don't see any shields out on the battlefield, but an attack specifically aimed at destroying an opponent's shield can only be used against targets that could carry a shield, so we're not seeing anybody that would apply to. So I know if I move here, it would cost me 2 action points. That would give me 8 left over, or actually, I'm sorry, 7 left over, which we can see indicated here, and cost me 4 fatigue. So I could move over here and immediately attack this guy, and I don't see a reason why not. So let's go ahead and do that and do our attack, and we can see our chance to hit is 55%, and we'll try. We unfortunately missed, but that's okay. That's kind of how the game works when you have percentages or percentage chance to do anything. All right, so let's go over the different things we can do with this character. So he has a spear, so he has, and a lot of weapons have a basic attack, like this thrust. It is 4 action points to do, costs me 10 fatigue, and then it will do set damage. We also have oftentimes special abilities with a weapon like this. So prepare to immediately attack any opponent that attempts to move into melee range, and on a hit, prevent that opponent from closing in. So this is pretty good to keep an opponent back away from you. It does cost a lot of fatigue to set up, so unless you can guarantee that they're going to come after you, it can be pretty draining. 30 fatigue is quite a lot. That takes 2 turns to recover from. We have knockback. This is going to use your shield. This is because he has a shield, he has this ability. Anyone that have a shield would have the same ability. You can use your shield to push a target backwards. And then shield wall, again, because he has a shield, he can get in a more defensive position. Again, this is going to cost a lot of fatigue, so unless you know an attack is coming, maybe not advisable. All right, so let's get over there. We know that our thrust here is 4 action points to throw. And we know it'll take 4 action points to get there because we have 2 tiles that are 2 action points apiece. So if I click there, we can see that does cost me indeed 4 action points, and it costs me 8 fatigue. So let's go ahead and move over there. And you saw this guy, his morale dipped because now he's surrounded, and we can see another effect of that here pretty soon. You see that I have a surrounded bonus to hit. Also, it looks like thrusting attacks get a bonus to hit as well. So now my chance to hit went from the 55% chance that this guy had up to 87% with the spear. So let's go ahead and throw this attack. Unfortunately, we still missed. Okay, that guy probably blew all of his action points to move there. All right, so as I discussed earlier, the crossbow guy, he cannot... Oh, actually, no, he can shoot in close combat. I didn't know that. Well, we might want to switch to our knife here soon anyway. But one thing that is worth knowing about is the fact that characters have zones of control. If I were to try and move out here, I'm in this guy's zone of control. And if I'm in his zone of control and I try to move out, I would get attacked, as far as I understand the gameplay mechanics. So really not advisable. If I have to flee, I have to flee, but I would get free attacks on me, and that could be devastating. So let's just shoot the bolt at him. So 67% chance to hit. I hope that we hit. There we go, good hit. I'm not going to bother reloading because I can't anyway. I cannot use this action because I am engaged in melee, so we might as well go into our inventory and switch out the knife. I can use the right mouse button to just immediately put into my selection, or I can lift, click, and drag. I'm just going to do the right mouse button because that's nice and easy. That did cost me action points to do, so unfortunately I'm not going to have enough action points to do the 4 action points required to attack the guy. But from here, I'm just going to go ahead and end my turn. All right, so this guy is really bad morale. He's pretty hurt. Let's see if we can finish him off here. And now going up to a 60% chance to hit. Unfortunately, I'm not getting too lucky with my attacks here, but hopefully we can be a little bit more lucky with the thrusts from the spear because it's a higher chance to hit. There we go, down. And I have a few more action points left, so I'm going to try and move over. Yeah. Unfortunately, this guy just got mauled pretty badly. Hopefully, he can come around and finish this guy off. So, not great chances to hit here, but we did manage to get some off. Now, our character here is very close to death, so hopefully we can finish this combat before this guy drops. I'm going to go ahead and move over here, but you can see how devastating damage can be to characters and how quickly they can drop, really, if they're not particularly well armored and you get a, nice devastating attack on you. All right, so we're hoping that this is going to... There we go. So this character might have some lasting damage, so let's take a look at this. So light bruises, flesh wounds. So this is just a light wound. It will heal in 3 days. So fortunately, nothing permanent, but it very well could have been a permanent injury, as well as the fact he could have died. He only had 1 hit point left. All right, so a couple of our characters managed to get some kills. We got some experience. And we can see a summary of damage dealt. So although, however you pronounce this guy's name, and I am probably going to struggle with the pronunciation of some things because I think this game with its background uses Scandinavian folklore and history, so you're going to have some Scandinavian style names. So Enyar, I don't know, and Anar. The younger, he did the most damage. He didn't drop anybody, but by far and away, he did the most damage. So let's go ahead and continue. Oh, actually, we've got loot. So we found a butcher's cleaver. I'll go ahead and pick that up. We also have some other items here. So we've got some grains, okay, provisions. That, again, reminds me of Mount & Blade Warband. You have to feed your band of mercenaries. And then bandages, clean bandages that can be used in combat to apply pressure to bleeding wounds and stop any hemorrhaging. Okay, well, that might have been useful in that last combat, but let's go ahead and leave now. All right, the aftermath. You're alive, you won. The adrenaline fades, and in its wake, you can't help but sink back to the ground. Gritting your teeth, you snap the arrow's shaft, your chest heaves, pain for breath, everything blurs. The company has been devastated, cut down to but a few men, and that bastard Hoggart did justice to his name, fleeing like a weasel, like the weasel he is. What now, Captain? A voice says from behind. It's Gunther, who sits down beside you, bedding his bloodied axe on his legs. You turn to him to reply, but before you can answer, he continues. Bernhard's dead. They slit his throat. He was a good man and a damn good leader, but all it took was one mistake. That makes you the one in charge now, don't it? Anar the Younger, again, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm just going to call him Anar from now on, though. Anar the Younger joins the two of you, still breathing heavily. Then Alric. Save the ceremony and anointments for another day. Let's give the men a good burial and return to Dornthal to collect our pay. The Weasel's men are slain, after all. Besides, Captain, we ought to see to that wound before we lose you, too. Wouldn't want to see Anar the Younger in charge, right? Well, especially as he just got cut up on. All right, so be it. All right, so I have no idea how to move around in this game, but I'm just going to make an assumption that you just do left mouse click and you move around. So I have to return to Dornthal. And where is Dornthal? Maybe it's over this way. I mean, we could go to the road. That seems to be sensible. Oh, we have to press spacebar. I mean, I could look around on the map, I guess. There he goes. There it is. So, yeah, road makes sense. Let's go ahead and take a look around at the map. So, WASD moves around. So, we've got another town down here. Krokdorf. Again, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Dornthal, where we need to go. And if we follow this road, that goes on. Oh, wow, this land is pretty big. Which is good. I mean, that gives you a lot to do in the world. All right, so let's go to the road. And it looks like we have a day-night cycle going, so early morning, and we're moving on. Let's go over to Dornthal here. And it looks... This icon, I just want to see if it exists on other towns. So I'm going to assume this is our quest objective being highlighted here. Alright, the return to Dornthal. What a sorry display it must be for the onlookers as you arrive in Dornthal. 4 bloodied and beaten mercenaries down on their luck. The man who hired the company days ago, Torleif, the counselor, no doubt expected you to return in a more glorious fashion. Still, he welcomes you to his house and offers bread and wine, while a servant fetches a healer. Few words are exchanged except for the occasional grunt and wheeze as an elderly man with shaky hands tends your wounds. A pin pierces your skin, the first of many stitches to come. You grit your teeth till you think you hear one break. Torleif, the counselor, sits beside you and asks if you took care of Hoggart. You shake your head. We killed his men, but the weasel eluded our blades in the end. The healer waves around a glowing fire poke, suggesting he wants to push it into your wound. You nod, and he does so. For a moment, that's all there is. You're not a man, but a pinch of fire, flesh from flame, a golem of pain. Torleif, the counselor, hands you a goblet of wine. You did well, Sellsword. The brigands have been removed, though it is a shame that Hoggart still lives. We expect to get paid for this. Torleif, the counselor, gasps. Well, naturally, 400 crowns as agreed. He gestures towards a servant who rushes to your side with the pay in hand. I wonder, may I make use of your services one more time? I'd very much like to end the headache that is Hoggart once and for all, and I would pay you again, of course, another 400 crowns, shall we say. Gunther scoffs and turns to drink more wine, but Ulrich stands to speak. Yes, the company is in ruin, but we will rebuild it. Without the Mouse's cadets, Gunther would drink the crowns away and end up begging on the streets. And you're the Younger, by the gods, we all know he'd be chasing the womenfolk until one stove his rotted head in. We need the Mouse's cadets. That's all we have. What say you, Captain? Gunther burps and raises his cup to you. And you're the Younger playfully thumbs his nose and nods. Kill that bastard Hoggart or not. It's up to you, Captain. All right, so we can either say no or yes. Well, we might as well say yes. Yes, we have unfinished business with Hoggart. It's 400 crowns after all. Thorleif the counselor claps his hands in satisfaction. Excellent. My little birds will need some time to find where Hoggart is hiding in his hide now. In the meantime, I suggest you see about stocking up on supplies so that you'll be good and ready to end this when the time comes. I shall see you in a few days' time at the latest. As you leave Thorleif the counselor's house and stand on the outskirts of Dornthal, Alric seeks a word with you. We need more men, Captain. I know I gave a big speech back there, but bravado won't do shite. We need more warm bodies in the ranks. Figure we find 3 good men, but buy them some decent weapons and dress them in the best armor we can afford. The man pauses to glance around. I bet this Bodunk town's got a desperate peasant or 2 looking for a new life, or we could travel to Krokdorf in the south. Them city folk aren't always as hardy as these country bumpkins, but we're more likely to find men with fighting experience stopping to rest there. All right, that's what we shall do. Okay, so I guess I didn't actually enter the town, so let's do that. All right, so this is the town screen, I gather, and it looks like we're going to have to... Okay, so we've got a higher screen, and we've got a marketplace, and I'm assuming as the towns are more populated or bigger, you'll see more things in the town. Let's see if we can figure out what some of these things mean. So crowns, the amount of coin your mercenary company has. Provisions, the total amount of provisions you carry. Okay, the average man requires 2 provisions per day. That makes, okay, so we can figure that out pretty easily. And more on difficult terrain, okay. Your men will eat the provisions closest to the expiring first. Well, that's good. And then running out of provisions will lower morale and will eventually lead to your people deserting you. Well, that makes sense. Okay, you use 7 provisions per day. Your 48 provisions will last 6 more days at most. Keep in mind that individual provisions will eventually turn bad. Okay, well, that's good to know. Tools and supplies, assorted tools and supplies to keep your weapons, armor, helmets, and shields in good condition. 1 point is required to repair 15 points of item condition. Running out of supplies may result in weapons breaking in combat and will leave your armor damaged and useless. You can carry 150 units at most. Okay, the good. Ammunition, so arrows, bolts, so on. Medical supplies, and then our overall roster, which it looks like we can look at. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have our 3 characters, Alric, Gunther, and Enyar the Younger, who is, you know, still diced up. We can take a look at him with... I don't know if we can see that injury. Probably here, light wounds, yeah. Okay. Okay, so there's some elements of this I'm not really too familiar with, but it says he's in the fighting line, and I have a guess here. So if I put him there, he's in reserve. I put him here, he's still in the fighting line. So any of these slots are the fighting line. This is a reserve, so if he was injured and we didn't want to use him, then that's an easy matter. It looks like his quiver was already automatically reloaded, and we can always switch over the crossbow back into his primary weapon slot. Okay, so now that we have that kind of figured out, let's go back into the town and take a look. We have 2,400 coin, and we want to hire, they said, at least 3 people, and we want to go to the marketplace and buy provisions and equipment and what have you. And I think we'll do that in the next episode. I think this is a good point to go ahead and put a cut in the video. This was an initial look at the game, but from what I've seen of the game and what I've played of it, I really am enjoying it, and I'm definitely going to make a series out of this so far. I don't know exactly what my schedule is going to be, but I'm definitely going to be recording it nonetheless, and we'll go from there. In any case, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.